Hello and good morning. It is Wednesday, January 29th. And my goodness, how the month flies by, even though it feels like it's been 10 years since last Monday. Um, I'm Rob, thatDeveloperDad, and we're building applications with C#.NET, hosting them in Azure, stuff like that. Um, in particular, I am working on an application that generates just sort of everyday normal person NPCs for my D&D games, because my players like to interact with darn near everybody they meet during their adventures, and I'm sick and tired of tavern keepers named Bob and shopkeepers named June and so on and so forth. I'll pop a description up here. And yesterday we finished up getting the new user sign up and sign in experience, as well as the upgrade your account experience. We got that actually functioning. So big yay there. I think it's an appropriate time for me to go through the main application and fix up as many of these compiler warnings as I possibly can. Well, no, all of the compiler warnings. My goal for this part of the process is to get those warnings from where they are. I think it's 40 something right now, down to 0. And I mean, in the past, I've been a little bit blasé about compiler warnings and stuff like that. But as I get older, and I'm going to flip over to the screen share in a minute here. As I get older and more experienced and so on, those compiler warnings are, I've come to view them more as bug seeds or bug eggs, because eventually they're going to manifest as something unexpected and be really hard to track down and fix, and just a bad scene. And I've also just anecdotally observed that these compiler warnings can sometimes cause builds to take longer. They can certainly take up more space in the output from the build and everything like that. And it having a solution filled with warnings about, well, this could be a problem, that could be a problem. It adds noise to the problems list, and it just kind of sets a bad psychological scene in my head. It's like, oh yeah, another compiler warning, whatever. When I really need to be focused on making sure that the code itself is correct. So let's go ahead and dive in. It's always worthwhile taking a few hours or a day or so periodically to clear up any compiler warnings that have accumulated during a set of work streams where you're just focused on grinding out the code, getting the capabilities stood up and integrated and so on. Hey, what's up, Mischief? I'm doing my soapbox about code quality. So yeah, let's dive in. So the first thing I got to do is complete this git merge that I started just a minute ago, where I'm pulling the most recent changes from the pre-launch tasks into the main branch. And then what I'll do, let's see here, we added the upgrade account page, off middleware. Yeah, we're just merging stuff together to make sure everything's good. All right. Go ahead and create our pull request. And I'm sure these checks will pass because I merged and built locally before I push the stuff up. And there's no conflicts. I'm surprised it's not building. Let's take a look over at the actions real quick. Excuse me. Oh, okay, it ran it when I pushed the stuff up. So let's just go ahead and do this. Squash and merge. Boop. Do it. And let's delete the branch. And I'm just going to push this down to my taskbar. Hide loopback. That's the secret thing that does the stuff. And now, or it's not a secret thing, it's the software that allows me to route background music and input from my microphones or from my AirPods and other things out to the stream. So here's main. I'm going to pull down. And I should probably do a little bit of branch hygiene before we get too far into this. So, let's see. Branch, create branch, rebase branch. That's not what I want to do. Let's see. Pre-launch tasks, fixing defects, we can probably zap both of those. Add profession stubs. Goodness gracious, that's ancient and no longer exists up on Origin. Branch. Delete branch. Oh, duh. We can get rid of pre-launch tasks. Goodbye. Get rid of this. Let's go back to main. Here we go. We're up to 81 and back down to 45 and 54. It's all over the damn place. All right. Now, let's do this branch hygiene. Branch, delete branch. We could definitely get rid of fixing defects. Actually, let's get rid of add profession stubs because that's old. Goodbye. And we'll do it again. And we can get rid of add appearance options on species. Holy smokes. I've got a lot of dead branches here. Delete branch. Add framework serialization utils. That's old. And branch. Anything else I want to get rid of? Let's get rid of fixing defects. And now, just to keep things tidy, I'm going to come back up to GitHub. Where are you? Here we are. You're over here. Let's go back to code. And let's take a look at branches. And this is TDMF admin, API security. We can get rid of that. Oh, wait, there's a trash can icon. Come on, old man. This is TDMF admin. I'm on the wrong branch, or the wrong repository. Duh. Here it is. Branches. All right. I think we got rid of fixing defects. Get rid of, no. UI improvements. Oh, gosh. You know what? I'm just going to zap all of these. We'll leave update architecture docs because that might have some changes in it that I want. Do I still have fixing defects down there? Oh, right on. fixing defects as well. Goodbye. And let's refresh. All right. The tree is much, much, much cleaner now. That's better. And I'll do that same exercise for the admin stuff. I haven't done a whole lot. I haven't done a whole lot. I haven't done anything with AWS. Um, I've been focused pretty heavily on Azure land for this part of my learning and personal development journey. And feature / code cleanup. And let's just go ahead and publish it right now. All right. Let's take a look at our problem list. And we're just going to go down these things one class at a time. So we'll start with the user profile admin resource. And these are going to be super easy to fix. And it's going to be an awful lot of uninitialized property warnings and stuff like that. Why would you deploy to both clouds? Just as a learning thing, or do you have a compelling reason for it? I'm just curious. Because I know Azure has a free static website service. I'm using it actually for thatDeveloperDad.com and the DMsFamiliar.com. So there's that. And let's commit that change. Push them up. Way up. Low-hanging fruit. Same fix here. And I really like this automatic property initialization that we have. That makes me happy. And the Copilot commit messages are mwah. If you see what I'm doing there, I'm clicking on the little star button and saying, yeah, Copilot, you write my message for me. Look at what the change is and add the comment. Boop. Model converters. Possible null reference. User profile admin resource. We need to. This one's going to get a little goofier. Load profile response payload. Resource model. Admin model. While I'm at it, I should probably get rid of extra using statements that I don't need. Admin API access, HTTP API models. User profile admin resource. I guess we should go ahead and make that nullable. Save. And that's going to spawn problems elsewhere. I am certain of it. Okie dokie. Let's take a look at the dependency builder, metered usage access, Azure tables. Now we've got all of these things. I'm surprised threading.tasks isn't being used here. Are none of these asynchronous? Subscription access table provider. Build quota access. Okay. Oh, this is the dependency builder. You silly goose. So we'll save that. varcn. All right, so there's this. Config, build quota access. And what am I doing up here? I'm going to grab this and run down here. And there's that. Now that's protected. But I saw something yesterday, just a little itty bitty code snippet. And it is argument null exception dot throw if null. And we pass the value to see if it's null. And then name of the parameter with which argument corresponds. The name of the argument is used. Okay, so not necessarily that, but invalid operation exception dot, nope. So I do want to use an invalid operation exception rather than an argument exception. But that protects me there. That's fine. But that's a really neat shortcut where you can where you perform a null test on a property or an argument for the method and immediately throw if it's null. That's pretty cool. If you're the type to throw exceptions willy-nilly like that. I don't tend to like to throw exceptions outside of the application bootstrapping process. Like if there's a missing dependency or a missing configuration value, I'll throw exceptions there because I don't want the app to even start. But when the application is running, I prefer to use that response pattern you've seen me use throughout both the administrative code and the application, the code for the application itself, where I will collect errors in the response object and always return some sort of response from any operation along my call chain. But for dependency builders and stuff like that, this is executing during the program startup. So I don't feel bad about throwing an exception at this place. And dependency builder is happy. Fix, add null check for connection string to prevent startup errors. Perfect. Got it. Quota access table provider. This one's going to be a biggie. Logger is never assigned to. That's a little bit shocking. Oh my gosh. Such a goose. All right. Let's rebuild. Just for laughs. Hey, Ericy, what's up? All right, possible null reference. We're fixing compiler errors today. All right. Well, I guess we better validate our stuff. If user ID is null, result.add error, user ID is required, and let's see here, string error message equals quota access dot consume quota requires a user ID which was not supplied, and error message, and finally logger dot log error user ID is required but not supplied, log error, and the error will be quota access table provider dot consume quota async error message. There we go. That'll do. And then I need to, okay, we added to the error, and now we can return the result. Still on the job hunt, man. It's rough out here. Like, I've had some really, really great conversations, like all the way to a third interview. And then it comes back that, I'm not an expert in some technology that they're actually looking for that was never part of the initial conversations. Like, the recruiter really liked me, the manager of the group really liked me, the other developers in the team that they're hiring to expand really liked me, and I really liked all of them. And then they come back with, well, we really need somebody who's an expert in React. I'm like, why didn't you bring that up at the start? You mentioned that, there would be a little bit of React, but I can muddle my way through it, but you need somebody who's an expert. Come on, man. If you'd have said we're hiring a React expert like off the top, I'd have said, yeah, that ain't me. And I would have gone on my merry way. And they would have not wasted the hours talking to me. it's getting silly. Okay, so we've got that. We've resolved this. And we are masking this out as an empty string. So we'll never hit this. So I need a different condition here. String dot is null or white space user ID. Oh, goodness. I don't know what the cost per hour on AWS is for actually doing training runs for LLMs, but I know on Azure it's expensive enough for me to say nope, not doing that. Yeah, you know what? Stay far away from crypto and blockchain and all of that stuff. That whole space gives me the willies. Like it I don't feel good about getting into the crypto space or blockchain or anything like that. It just it feels way too much like a get rich quick scheme where the money ain't really there, and it's all predicated on, if this works, we're gonna pay you, you're gonna be rich. And I'm like, yeah, no. I really feel like blockchain technology could have some really powerful use cases, but I also believe that those use cases aren't as broadly applicable as the crypto bros say they are. You know, it it just feels off. So let's see here. User equals a weight load user. I think. Yeah. But the thing is though, like the whole blockchain technology and everything like that is very, very compelling. But it got grabbed onto by people looking to make a quick buck for not doing anything but owning equipment. So like basically like the bros that everybody talks about, and like the behavior of those people that kind of took the whole space around uh, decentralized finance and blockchain and all of these things that could be really, really powerful tools. They turn them into a big nasty yuck of themselves, like with the whole NFTs thing. I think NFTs would be a great way to produce limited digital uh, limited copies of digital works and so on and so forth. But then we have that whole thing with the monkey stickers and all of that nonsense, and it polluted the sort of societal mind space. So that if you talk to like a normal person about crypto or blockchain or non fungible tokens and stuff like that, their eyes just kind of glaze over and go, "Oh yeah, those assholes." And the same thing is happening to AI, and not AI, but large language models and ChatGPT and everything like that. I am using AI in this product, but I'm not billing it as an AI product. The AI is there to assist the user. It's not there to replace. And public opinion is getting bent away from being in favor of the things that AI can do by the people hyping up all of the horrible things for most people that AI might do, like putting everybody out of work or whatever. It's yuck. I do want to do a null check on user here. Oh, the whole AI thing? I see my issue with how most of the boardrooms. Oh, crypto? Yeah. I haven't found, or I don't know enough about crypto and blockchain, because when we're talking about crypto, we're really talking about blockchain. I don't know enough about that technology to have been able to identify any real killer apps for it or uses for the technology. Um, but I feel like it's the tech has been polluted once again with nonsense. Oh, I need to good error ID. Error ID. And I need to come up here and say good. Yep. And we're going to use some interpolation. Error ID. And I'm going to throw in error ID here. Grab this. And do that. There we go. Result.add error. And logger.log error. Ah, that's what I want. Cool. And let's grab this. And we're going to bail out here. Return result. Instead of throwing an argument exception, let's do that. Ah! Come back to where we were. Okay. Could not find the quota to update on user ID. User ID. Here's that. Error ID. And return result. There we go. User is absolutely not null. Current subscription is not null by now, because if it's null, quota is null, and we've already escaped. All right. Save. We know user is not null here. release quota async, we need to spin down to not load user. Where's consume quota? Here we are. I'm going to grab this, pop down here, paste it in here, and instead of consume, it's going to be release. All right, yeah. And I need to add the same kind of validation. So load user quota, where's consume? Here's this. Copy. Let's just grab this. Add a null check. Pop back up here to consume. And I've got a null check around the quota. Copy that. Come down here. Replace this. And we know that user is not null. We know that none of that is null. And I think we're good. Null handling to prevent errors during quota consumption and release. Commit. Save all and commit, and up you go. We can close that. Let's go to user entity. String.empty. And I got a feeling that I've got a bunch of these. Yep. Commit, sync, okay. Wow, we've cut our problem list in half. User subscription table provider. What the heck is this? Is it even called by anything? Oh, it apparently is. All right. Save that. And let's see here. Save user account. Build table client. What's the table name? Business objects. Okay. All right. So that's fine. Log information. Could not find account for user ID. user account.user ID, creating new record. ex404 dot excuse me, message, no, status, Azure tables returned. That's fine, and I think we're good there. And boop, subscription activity resource. We can zap all of this stuff. Where is this referenced? Usage data transformers, user resource. All right, that's fine. And close this. Equals string.empty. Save. And let's do that. Commit, sync. Okay. User ID resource. Empty. Just grab this. Paste it there. Close, close. Describe, commit, sync changes. Okay. And we'll add that in the constructor here. Current status, string.empty, save, describe, commit, sync, NPC access table provider. The async lacks a weight. Build table client. .query.toList. Filter results, add. Okay, for each, order by descending. All right. And I'm thinking we need to Is there a query async? Let's find out. Var blah equals user object dot query async NPC table entity. This returns a async pageable Await, that's not awaitable. So async pageable. Serialize, just type NPC table entity. Okay. Dot. Now, how do we work with this query async? That's a good question. Bool filter, max per page. Select is the weird OData query, cancellation token default, +1 overload. Partition key equals partition key. So that's our filter. Max per page is null. And apple I, iterate on blah to pull the actual entities out and add them to the filter results. That's what we want to do. Yep. Accept. And so I should be able to let's bump these two out. That makes sense. I wasn't quite sure the syntax for using an async enumerator. I haven't used those very often in the past. So there's our table client, NPC entities. Let's thwap this. Change this to NPC entity pages. Okay. And we no longer need this. Now this is a more significant change than just making something that might be null into null, not null, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to want to retest after this before I commit. But let's clean up the other issues in the NPC access table provider before I do that. To do, clean this green code up before committing. Now let's fix these other ones here. So filter NPC is filter user ID. So if string.is null or white space filter.userid. Yeah, yep, we can just bounce that on back. And got rid of that warning. Oh, excuse me. If we'll do that, and we've gotten rid of that. And we've gotten rid of that one. Okay. So Control F to do. Here we go. I find it. Oh, there's 3 to dos. So I got to clean up the green code, but I want to test before I zap that stuff. Inspect the response from the upsert call to handle accordingly. Oh, yeah. I wonder what I was thinking there. All right. Let's got everything saved. Pop this guy open, rebuild everything. All right. Groovy. And we'll pop over to the run. Run it. Run! Run, you fools! Trying to grab this to pull it up a little bit. Here we go. Bring this over here. All right, now let's sign out. And we'll sign in, but as me. Yep. Give it my fingerprint. Here's that. Come in here. Here's view, back to list. So yeah, there are some definite features that I want to add to the UI sooner rather than later. But like mom always said, clean your plate before you go back for seconds. And this activity of fixing up these compiler warnings, while it's easy to say, it's not a big deal. And we could just let them live or let them continue to exist. Things like this may not be a big deal today, but they are signals that we've got problems in our code that may become a big deal later. And I started off this session with 40-something compiler warnings, 40-something notices of potential problems in my code. And here we are 55 minutes later, and I'm down to 12. Like, just for laughs, I'm going to commit here. Because at the very first thing I did this session was merge up the changes from the past few work sessions into my main branch. So here's 12 problems here in the code cleanup. Let's flip over to main real quick. We'll use our time machine to go back in time to about an hour ago. And I'm going to rebuild. And watch this number. It says 5. It's up to 45. Rosalind's probably still doing her thing. No. Okay, so we went from 45 issues down to not 40. We got to rebuild to give its head a shake. So yeah, anytime somebody tells you solving compiler errors or compiler warnings and stuff like that in your code, it just takes too long and we don't have time for that. Nonsense. These to-dos, I have no idea what I intended when I wrote these. So you know what I'm going to do? These are our notes to self to remind me to do something later. And these are crappy comments. So guess what? Next and next. You're out of here. Save. Here we go. And up to the main repository you go. So far we have run into one interesting thing. Up in the filter. And we're going to be iterating on this filter thing before too very long. So I want to get this kind of cleared up before we go too far or too much farther. And this is clean enough for now. Let's go back to the problems. NPC table entity must contain a non-null value. So let's just fix all of these. Now, you're going to have some people say never ever do implicit property initialization or anything like that. And I'm like, whatever. Character details. Now the row key is being created in some way. And I really want to mask NPC ID as the row key. Partition key. But see, it's an int here. To do either remove this property throughout the stack or make it a GUID and use row key to populate it. Save. This to do is valuable. Why? It's a holdover from when I was using a RDBMS MS for storage. managing a unique integral value for referencing one object from another is going to become a pain in the butt. So we're going to want to improve this story before we start telling stories about locations, family members, etc. Save. And that, I think, is a solid hour of work on this. I am going to continue in this afternoon's stream with this exercise, although we're down to 7 problems in the code base. So I might think about one of those features that I had intended to build during the closed beta to start work on here in the afternoon session once we finish out these problems. We'll see. I'll put some thought into that and figure out where I want to go next, because I do need to get this thing launched and just continually adding and changing and so on and so forth. It makes for great content. It does not put money in my pocket. So yeah, I think in terms of functionality, we got a checkpoint right now. And I need to think about the tasks that I need to do in order to get this thing live and getting some revenue so that I can switch over to the paid services and so on and so forth. So yeah, all right. Until this afternoon, take care of yourselves. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Happy coding.